side of
on
it.
the other side.
And you're just like, this is history writ large. So,
Whatever. My cousin.
yeah, and I was there in the military as
But see,
well. We
you know,
were building, I was in the Air Force. So we were assigned
It seems
US
so
Air
cute,
Force
but also
to
a
NATO.
ton of work.
Build a base for the AWACS planes that NATO bought using Corps of Engineers.
You became aware of it last
Army Corps of Engineers. Right? So it was like, I had no choice. I mean, it was. I joked that I had to get out of the military after because I spent 30 years like not really being in the military. It was just,
I like my job.
I was the 28th person assigned there, and I was a staff sergeant. I was not a senior regular, but I was a contract administrator. Just
Especially in the
administrating.
summer, get out,
And maybe
We
people do
moved
that
out
kind
here
of stuff. And,
12 years ago, so
but it was like, what an assignment.
So I'm glad to see
This
that.
wasn't even close. We had to live up
Would you grow up?
in a part of
Strauss, that's what I did.
oh yeah,
part of Germany that really did not militarized. So the closest base was Pittsburgh, so like a 2-hour drive.
Berlin?
You were damn near a civilian.
Well, no, look, I spent hours each getting ready, going back over the zoning
But after
code,
that, I was
researching. Yeah, I've been sending you guys out stuff.
headquarters, military
It
area.
takes a while to get into full swing.
Is that, I went on 84. Yeah.
Well, I spent a year in
That,
Texas,
to be honest,
a year in Montana.
that's another,
Going
it
back to
gets a little
Montana,
sore. Because
I'm not good at
hop on the highway, hop on another highway,
Texas,
or officers ran off the highway.
I spent 30 months a
Those
year in the
rides,
company,
if you
so I
don't,
was there the whole
there's an
time. I
accident.
never took leave. I mean, I took leave while I was there, but I had like 63 days of leave in conjunction with UPS. I left the country in July, didn't get out till October.
Yeah, I did the
like,
same thing. I left in like Thanksgiving.
flexibility means you should have been
Until the 20.
Yes,
Yes, the meeting's happening.
really.
a lawyer that was never sign that.
Yeah, to me, it seemed like it was the weirdest assignment in the world. Once the base got built and they actually started having operations there, but to be assigned there was
Someone like Dave,
I had no issue.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, no.
They were making up the rules. This was when Reagan and Thatcher, and they were really.
After a year of this, I feel like I can now do the
The
job.
biggest thing was like not offend anybody.
But trust me,
You got all the U.S.
I'm now comfortable. I'm more comfortable with code now than I was a year ago.
I think the first
And
time,
how to find things.
They would let each nation
and
pick
then
a
they
holiday
didn't seem
and
to
a certain.
It's like
You didn't need to
from the
use
last,
your.
you know,
It was like,
Oh, absolutely.
Easter was a 4-day holiday because Good Friday.
I wasn't surprised at 37. I think I'd done research and I wasn't surprised at 37.
It was like I
Wasn't
never
have
had to use my leave.
backup.
We went home once, so my family could see the dog.
That was going to be a
That was
problem.
it for 4 years. So I took one flight. Because they'd already.
like that, I didn't go back at all for 32 months.
If you rip it down, if you don't build it within 18
I
months,
understand this. We actually just had
you're
guests
losing
from
non-conforming, and then now it goes to
Ursuline,
code.
a little bit
Right
farther
now, it's a
north.
non-buildable lot.
They said the base is still there.
No kidding.
They-
Good to know.
Still running the NATO
I was on
planes.
close concern in
Current
Food
guy
Spot. It was
bought
the
it.
oldest
It's
military
not the current
concern
owner who wanted to
in the
build
United
it up.
States Army.
It was a
Because we were
new
using an
buyer
old
who
German
bought the land.
castle, and that's where it was our station.
He bought it.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Did you play sweeps?
I did.
That's a big contribution.
I was up and down. Was supposed to.
I played pretty solid, but I played with guys. I had not one but two guys that three putters from 4 feet.
Well, until the
How you doing?
Good. How are you? After.
Playing?
Evening.
Evening.
men tonight.
How are you?
18 we were. The golfer. Number 17. Yeah,
Perfect. That's 2 strokes. That's a one. That's a one.
and then he birdied number 18.
Okay.
Oh no, he parred number 18.
Alright, 18.
Which gave us some. So he bogeyed it, but it gave us number
Right. Two
Oh, I know no copies?
strokes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll turn that out to everybody.
I just get a little frustrated.
What did
You got it.
Well, we gave
My
two
pleasure.
back. Believe it or not. Two bogeys. We had 2 bogeys. Again, not gonna be 2 bogeys.
Yes.
But again, we missed, these guys were laying on 13, for example.
Correct.
We gave one back.
But one's being postponed.
And 4 putted, and the last 3
I think he's gonna wait
Oh, wait, yeah.
the ADU.
And we could tell he was aiming the wrong direction, but do you stop the
I don't know
guy?
if that's going to do it for him, but,
You don't know if that's gonna be.
well, Oh, wait, talking about Kings Road?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that needs to be all set.
Yeah.
Okay.
That came up, and I said that.
Shoulder?
Yeah, all set. Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7:01. Sorry I'm a minute late. Welcome to the meeting of the Howard Board of Appeals. On this date, June 28th, the purpose of this meeting is to hear and decide applications before the Board of Appeals which have been brought pursuant to the bylaw of the town of Howard and the Massachusetts Zoning Enabling Act. As required by law, the town may audio or video record this meeting, which we are. Any person intending to either audio or video record this open session is required to inform the chair at this time. Okay. During the meeting, the chair will recognize promptly a member of the board, a secretary, attorney, or an attorney presenting a case to inform the chair if a protocol is not being properly followed. While in open session, those wishing to present comments or ask questions regarding the case are to go to the podium in the front there with a microphone. When you raise your hand, and I'll call on you to go to the podium, and there's a form there for you to sign with your name and address if you're going to speak tonight, okay? I'd like to ask the members of the board to identify themselves.
John August?
Kenneth Dixon?
Chris Murphy?
Ryan Sullivan.
David Nunnally?
Tim Bailey.
Okay, thank you. And I'd like to have the clerk call the first case on the agenda.
First case number 2022-31, William Little and Sandra Clementino Holtz, represented by Brian Hall. Owner of the property located at 10 Kings Road, assesses map 42, parcel E1-19 in the RR zoning district. The applicant seeks a variance from minimum lot size requirements for an accessory dwelling unit pursuant to the Howard zoning bylaw 325-52 and Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 10. This is continued from 11/30/22. They're requesting withdrawal without prejudice.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the board accept the withdrawal without prejudice.
Second.
Second, okay. Second by Ken. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, okay, approved. Motion approved. I can have the clerk read the second case.
Case number 2023-05, Round Cove Resort Owner, LLC, and 4 Cove Landing Road, LLC, represented by Marion Rose. Owner of the property located at 2173 Route 28, 4 Cove Landing Road, and 2 Swan Drive, assesses map 115, parcels S1-3, R2, and H5-2, and the CH-2 zoning district. The applicant seeks a special permit to alter pre-existing non-conforming amenities coverage and to increase an allowed use by more than 7,500 square feet in gross floor area pursuant to the Howard zoning bylaws, 325-54, and Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, continued from 3/29/23.
Okay, and today, in receipt of an email letter from the attorney, Marion Rose, and I say here that I would like to ask the ZBA hearing for Wednesday, June 28th to be continued so that the updated hearing application requesting a special permit for the altered and expanded hotel/motel use be properly. Please let me know if I need to be present to make this request tomorrow night, which we told them they did not. So they've requested a continuance, and I was at the planning board meeting last night where they held, and I indicated to them that the next meeting was going to be on July 28th, the date that I told them. And at this point, they are scheduling themselves to be here. July 26th is the next meeting. And so they'll be presenting their case on the 26th. So we're continuing to the 26th at this moment. They had signed a document prior, which allows them to continue up to 6 months. And so we're within that time frame when they made that document. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the continuance.
Second?
Okay. Now, I'd like to have a discussion on this before we vote on the motion. If there's anything that we may want to, I'm probably going to send a letter to the town attorney asking for clarifications regarding, further clarifications regarding the attorney's opinion on this case, as well as looking at the other information that was sent in by one of the abutters attorneys. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to see answered by the attorney, the town's attorney, that hasn't already been done?
Mr. Chairman, my only question would be, when they talk about the consolidation of two non-conforming lots under the same control, regardless of whether or not it's the same ownership, I wasn't sure if that improved their chances of getting a variance or hurt their chances, so I was unable to discern that from her letter.
Okay. Now, I do believe, I could be wrong, and we can't get into a full discussion here, I thought we just had one non-conforming lot being the residential lot, at Fort Cove. I thought that was the only thing non-conforming. But we are combining two lots, obviously. But we'll check that. So you want to check the consolidation of two more conforming lots, and say that again further, Ken?
Well, my question to direct the ZBA and how we should proceed is whether or not that influences our decision whether it should be approved or not by the fact where those are merged by the Massachusetts statute, because at this point I understand it hadn't yet been recorded.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
And before I send my letter out, I will send it to all the board members for your review and approval. Anybody have anything else they want to add to that? Okay. All right, I have a few things. I'll probably have a couple items which I'll add with the approval of the board. We won't get into it tonight, and I'll send out a letter, and we'll all take a look at it. Okay? So the motion's been made to accept their continuance. Can I have a second? Okay. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Okay. Can I have the clerk now read the next case?
Case number 2023-16, William M. Redahan, represented by James Norcross, owner of the property located at 37 Pleasant Lake Avenue, assesses map 50, parcel J3 in the RM zoning district. The applicant seeks a special permit to construct a single-family dwelling pursuant to the Harwich zoning bylaws, 325-54, and Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 10. It was continued from 5/31/23, and they are requesting a withdrawal without prejudice.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we accept their request to withdraw without prejudice.
Second?
A second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay. Okay, now we're into the meat of the order, as they say. Have the clerk read the next case.
Case number 2023-18, John and Amy Beal, owner of the property located at 16 Woodland Road, assesses map 7, parcel G5-7 in the RL zoning district. The applicant seeks a special permit to convert a screened porch to habitable space to a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling pursuant to the Harwich zoning bylaws, 325-54, and MGL Chapter 40A, Section 10.
Okay. Now, the Board of Health, regarding department notices, I'm going to read the notice from the Board of Health regarding this case number 2023-18, from the Board of Health. I have reviewed the application for a special permit to convert a screened-in porch to habitable space at 16 Woodland Road. The Health Department will need to review a full floor plan prior to signing off on any building permits. Septic upgrade will be required if the TV room meets the definition of a bedroom. Setbacks to the septic must be maintained if the applicant is proposing a slab foundation or full foundation. The tank or the leaching may need to be relocated. Should you require any further information, please not hesitate to contact me. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Okay, please step forward, and if you might sit at the table. No, you don't have to go to the podium, go to the table.
Table.
Yeah, you don't have to sign anything.
Okay, I'll sign in on the way back if you don't.
No, you don't need to.
Oh, okay.
You're the applicant. You're the,
Signed in.
you're already signed in.
I
You're the
already
main
have
show.
other proponents here, the two contractors that are gonna be working on this, as well as Mark Duffin, who is their son-in-law.
If whoever you like to be with you at the table are welcome to join.
And they can speak from back there?
They can speak from here, and, yeah, they can speak from, you're in charge of that table.
Okay, this is the
You can have-
contractor, I'm the attorney.
You can
Also
go-
a friend of the family also.
You can have all the people you want in the front row here,
Just make a little party out of this.
okay? So, just to kick things off first, the voting on the case tonight for this will be Dave Nunnally, Chris Murphy, Tim Bailey, John August, and Ken Dickerson. And I'd like to have the applicant introduce yourselves, and then you can, present, and those who are going to be helping you, then present your application.
Okay. My name is Frank Vale. As you can see, I'm related to the parties. Amy, my brother John, and Amy, his wife, and I'm here to assist them in this matter.
Are John and Amy here, or is John?
No, they couldn't be here.
Okay, I just wanted to check. Okay, thank you. All right. Go ahead.
My name's Steve Haskell, I'm gonna do the work with it,
Okay,
along with my partner Chuck Doherty.
okay, Chuck Doherty. Okay, excellent. Okay, now you can start, present your application as to,
Well,
For the special
basically,
permit.
what they want to do is convert a screened-in porch into a room. No increase in size or footage, nothing more than putting windows in, one wall, and some heat. It's basically has no closets, has no intention of being used as a bedroom for any of those purposes, but rather to make it more comfortable for a rapidly growing family, Mark here, for a rapidly growing family. So basically, I believe they've submitted everything that's necessary on the application, and they request that, it be approved.
okay?
Yeah, all the building that has been done there is correct. The flooring, everything that, whoever was there before me did a hell of a nice job.
Sure.
It was done well, which I appreciate it, believe me. And you just want to close it in. It's going to be like a family room, and there's an outside door there, which used to go out to the porch. That's staying, so they can lock it even. It's basically so, I guess, what Johnny said, if I want to watch football, I'm going to close the door. And enjoy himself. If they want to watch a movie, let them sit in the big room, And we're putting in 9 windows, just 2, 4, 6, 8. We got 14 feet running out, 12 feet across, and a 4-foot wall here, which I think you've got all that stuff there. And that's basically it. Insulating it to code, some lights in the ceiling, and heat. Because what they're going to do, I believe, is upgrade the heat anyways, because it's 40 years old, or 35 years old. They want it, while they're doing everything, they want to do it now, so that you'll be hearing from that for
the heating system will be, I think, all new, right? So they can do the whole show
And I can honestly tell you that,
eventually.
you know, the house is very open from the living area into the kitchen, so the porch plays a critical role. And once it becomes late September, October, it becomes very difficult to sit out there, watch TV and so forth. And so it really, you know, they recognized that they couldn't increase the square footage of it. They recognized that they had to meet all their requirements, and I believe they've done that. In fact, Chris, I think you were over there, weren't you? And took a look at it.
I think the egresses are, it's two egresses immediately, so, you know what I mean? Just, boom, you can get out of this house quick. It's wide open.
There's no, the foundation is already there.
Right.
There's nothing concerning the septic system.
Nothing, so.
We did receive a letter dated June 26th from John and Jeannie Wheeler
Yeah.
in support of this, and I think, I'm on my phone here, but do you have the copy? Could you just read the letter, just so we have that for the file?
Dated June 26, 2023, to whom it may concern, we have been neighbors of John and Amy Vale for almost 20 years, and have found them to be kind, respectful, and considerate of everyone in the neighborhood. We've discussed their plan to convert their screened-in porch and have no reservations with that plan. We believe their plan does not present a detriment to the neighborhood, and as such, ask that you approve their request.
Okay.
The Wheelers wish they could be there, but Mrs. Wheeler had come down with COVID.
Oh, sure, no, I really appreciate that, and it was very nice of them to send the letter. Okay. All right, just to, I think, before I open it up to questions and so forth from the rest of the board, I have a site plan for the project, but I don't have any building plans. Is that correct?
I thought they sent things like that to you.
Yeah, I think she
Did
came
anybody
up
get
with-
building plans, or did I
It's just
misplace
something
them?
I drew up, I mean, it's not a whole hell of a lot of building plan.
Oh, that's what it is?
Yeah, it's basically,
It's not a plan,
That's narrative.
it's a narrative.
This is it here, isn't it?
Is there a drawing back there?
in the back.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, there are some in.
No,
Oh, okay, I cited,
I'm not exactly an architect.
thank you very much. Okay, good.
But it's so basic, it's just,
You may find, when you present this to the Board of Health, because they're gonna wanna, they're gonna wanna sign off on things at some point here. Because they want to, is there anything that they talked about you're doing regarding, the TV room is not going to, you're not gonna convert anything in the house into a bedroom, correct?
no,
Okay.
no,
Just so you know, at some point when the building inspector goes out,
right. Right.
you're limited to how many bedrooms you can have
Right.
for whatever your septic system is sized for.
Yep.
So they just want to make sure that,
Yeah, this will
That's-
not be a
that's
bedroom,
fine.
I can
Right.
assure you that.
Yep, that's fine.
Furthermore, I mean, they, basically, if they don't get moving on it soon enough, it's gonna be too late. You know,
no, I understand, okay. Are you looking for, regarding the foundation that's there now, what type is it? And is that the current foundation, is it gonna
It's
remain?
on sonotubes,
Is that's gonna remain, that's not being
that's
changed?
gonna remain, right.
Okay. So, okay, it's gonna be, okay.
And I added, I don't know if you guys got this, but I put a pad in the center of the main beam, all right?
Okay, yep,
I actually talked to the building inspector, and he told me, yeah, do that, I'd appreciate it. And I made that 24 inches deep, 14 inches wide, so. And I didn't need it, but it's not gonna hurt. Let's beef it up, that's what I thought, so.
very good. Okay, any, now, timeframe, what are you looking to accomplish this by?
Around September, in September, as
Okay.
we can.
So, do you feel,
Initiate it in September or finish it?
Oh, I'd start it in September, yeah.
okay, all right,
that they don't wanna do it before?
I can't do it before, we got this other thing going on.
okay.
We waited so long, we didn't have a chance.
The question I have is, as far as if we grant the special permit, given the neighborhood, there's probably, there's insufficient parking on the site, probably for all the, will you be able to park all the construction
Oh,
vehicles?
yeah.
On the lot?
Yeah, we can park 2 cars right there. John Wheeler, gentleman wrote the letter, he's got a couple of parking lots. Yeah, you know, park right there, Steve.
Okay,
Johnny?
all right. So the question comes up, typically, sometimes we institute a construction
Right.
timeframe of not being able to do any construction between June 30th through Labor Day of any year.
Right. Yeah, that's a busy time because, you know, near the beach, everybody's coming up and down.
Right,
So that's
so-
why I figured,
So we'll start after that.
yes,
We're going to be probably putting that into the,
yeah.
into the,
Yeah, we can't
as a
start
condition.
until then.
Okay, all right,
And they're gonna be here all summer, so
Yeah, I'll give him a
we'll
break.
start in September.
all right. Any questions?
Actually, just a clarification is, when Amy submitted the application, the indication on it is that the homeowner's doing all the work themselves,
Well,
but you guys are,
we're gonna do
Are
the
we
work,
doing
yeah.
it?
Friends and
Okay.
family also, you know, we're doing it all my life, but, you know,
Right.
72 and it's,
They've done a number of jobs for them.
I'm just not,
They've been
again, and it's a
very
question for the
satisfied
building
with.
department, not for us, but I'm
Right,
just not
right.
sure if that application's got to be modified if a contractor's doing the work. Yep.
No question.
Questions? Tim?
I have no questions.
Thank you.
Tim, okay. All righty, well, it's, we'll open this up to the public. Is anybody that wants to speak tonight regarding this case? Okay. Hearing none, I move to close the, make a motion to close the open meeting. Okay.
Vote on that.
Give me a second, I'll write it down. I have a vote from the board. Closing, okay, all approved. Any further discussion by the board regarding this application? Okay. Then I'm going to, Chair will make a motion regarding this. It's, regarding, the motion is regarding case number 2023-18, John and Amy Veal, owner of the property located at 16 Woodland Road, Assessors Map 7, parcel G57, in the RL zoning district. The applicant has been granted a special permit to convert a screened porch to habitable space to a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. Current structure is lawfully pre-existing, non-conforming single-family dwelling. The proposed intensification of a pre-existing nonconformities will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the current structures, because it will not create any additional negative impacts with respect to traffic, noise, odor, and congestion. Granting is consistent with the Howard bylaws, MGL Chapter 40A, Gale, Dietrich, and related cases, as there will be an intensification of one or more existing nonconformities, no new nonconformity, and no substantial detriment to the entire neighborhood. Any relief not expressly granted hereunder is hereby denied. All work shall be performed in accordance with the plans submitted with this application. Said grant and approval are subject to the following conditions. During the life of this project, there will be no demolition, exterior construction, or new landscaping between June 30th and Labor Day of any year. I'm going to hold back from indicating about construction vehicles because we've given them the time frame. Okay? It'd be a good idea that you do park and use your neighbor's lot for convenience in the neighborhood for access, but it's not making it a condition that you've got to park all your vehicles on the site. Okay? But it would be nice that you did that. A violation of the terms and conditions of the special permit may be enforced as a violation of the Howard zoning bylaws pursuant to GLC 40A, MGL, excuse me, Section 7, and the Howard zoning bylaw, as these may be amended from time to time. That's my motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Actually, excuse me, before I ask for a second, is there any discussion regarding the motion I just made? Okay. Now I'll call for a second. Okay. I'd like to have a vote on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You're all set.
Thank you, thanks for your consideration.
Now, so you know what happens here, guys? This is gonna be filed with the clerk
Right.
in about within a week, and then you've got 20 days before, after that, before you can, get your permit from the
Okay.
building inspector.
Thank you.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Okay, before you call the case, I just want to take care of a couple of things here.
Mine or yours?
That one's yours.
It's going to circular file.
Could be wrong.
Okay, have the clerk call the next case.
Case number 2023-19. Michelle Marie Mann Abel, represented by Brackett Engineering. The owner of the property located at 18 Bob White Lane, assessors map 17, parcel G4 in the RM zoning district. The applicant seeks a special permit to razz and replace a single-family dwelling pursuant to the Howard zoning bylaws, 2.5-54, and chapter 40A, section 10.
Okay, regarding letters from departments, we did have a letter from the Board of Health, and I'll read it. It's regarding case number 2023-19. I have reviewed the application for a special permit to raise and replace a single-family dwelling located at 18 Bob White Lane. The property has existing variance conditions. There can be no increase in bedrooms, square footage, or habitable space without the Board of Health approval. The foundation cannot encroach upon the existing variances. As proposed, the Health Department does not have any concern with this project. If you require further information, please do not hesitate to call. So, it's, voting on this case will be David Nunnally, Chris Murphy, Tim Bailey, John August, and Ken Dixon. And I'd like to ask the applicant and representative to introduce themselves.
Good evening, my name is Zachary Basinski, professional engineer, certified flood zone manager with Bracken Engineering. So we're here this evening on behalf of Ms. Abel. As mentioned, project site is 18 Bob White Lane, existing pre-non-conforming lot. Existing house was constructed in 1965. Ms. Abel was initially looking at doing a renovation to the structure, but because of the floodplain requirements, it didn't meet the standards and needed to be elevated. So she's looking to raise or demo the existing structure and then build a new structure within the generally same footprint of the lot. So again, project has been reviewed by both Conservation and Board of Health. The existing 11,000 square foot lot, pre-existing non-conforming based on size and reduced frontage. Existing setbacks does not conform. We're at 17 feet, which is shy of that. So with the redemo of the house, we're slightly twisting it on the lot. That will increase us up to just over 18 feet on the property. We do still maintain all of the required setbacks that were mentioned in the Board of Health and their previous approval. So again, the proposed project will elevate the structure up, get it above the floodplain, get a new, more flood-compliant structure, which will be a benefit for both the town and the abutting resource areas next to us on the property. We believe the project can be approved as it will not be a nuisance. It will not be any more substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood and will not contribute to any undue nuisances, hazards, or congestions in the neighborhood. The existing single-family use will be maintained on the lot, and all existing utilities currently service the lot. With that, I'll turn it back over.
Okay. Going to look for questions from the board. Tim?
I don't have questions at this time.
Questions?
Just, when I read the application, you mentioned the fact that the new facility structure would be more floodplain compliant. And can you just go over that with me one more time, how it's more floodplain compliant if we're on the same footprint?
Yep, so right now, the structure actually sits in the floodplain, so it's elevation 12 out here. The finished floor is around elevation 10. So if it was ever damaged, the first floor would be damaged in a flood event if it ever came through. So now the whole structure is elevated up, built on a new foundation system.
Yeah. So it's the structure being raised that's improving, being more floodplain compliant?
Exactly, by picking it up and then the new foundation system under it, and getting all the utilities out of the floodplain.
And the number of bedrooms in the existing structure are going to be the same in the new structure? Okay.
Yep, 3 to 3.
It's a small lot, small area, just kind of, what are the plans? Obviously, it's a private road, it's not a thoroughfare. What are the plans for maintaining all the debris on the site, as well as, building materials when you're constructing the building?
They can bring in a dumpster for that. If the dumpster's not large enough, they can bring in a truck and take trash out nightly.
Okay, that's, all right, they will, all right, so, and I think, obviously, as we go forward, if there is a approval and granting the special permit, I'm gonna recommend, obviously, the time frame situation for June 30th, to Labor Day. Okay? All right, Chris, any questions?
No questions.
Just confirming if I could, that I'm looking at the maximum building height, I see that you are obviously going up, so you're raising the floor, the first structure, how high, how much?
The structure floor height comes up about 3 feet higher than what's there today.
3 feet, okay, so you're still gonna be under the 30-foot
We
maximum,
still meet
correct?
we're 29.2.
Same question I have.
So, sort of related to that question, you're gonna be bringing in fill
Nope.
to upgrade?
Nope, everything's, grades all stay the same, no fill in the floodplain.
Basically, it's gonna be a tall foundation.
Yeah, new structure comes up higher. Yep.
And you're removing the current foundation?
Yes, that all comes out for the new one to go in.
Okay. All right. I'd like to, time for now for the open meeting portion. Does anyone like to speak to this case, this application? Okay. Well, hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor of closing the open meeting?
Aye.
Okay, I'll entertain discussion by the board regarding the application. Anybody have any other thoughts, comments, questions?
I do not.
Okay. Probably other people in the community here thinking, boy, I hope my case goes this smoothly. So, anyways.
I'm coming back to Howard more often.
So I'm going to entertain a motion to close discussion, okay? And so I don't know if you did that. All right, now, I'm going to make a motion on the case. Case number 2023-19, Michelle Marie Mann Abel, care of Bracken Engineering, 49 Herring Pond Road, Buzzards Bay, Mass. 02532, owner of the property located at 18 Bob White Lane, assessors map 17, parcel G4, in the RM zoning district. The applicant has been granted a special permit to raise and replace a single-family dwelling. The current structure is a lawfully pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The proposed intensification of the pre-existing nonconformities will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the current structures, because it will not create any additional negative impacts with respect to traffic, noise, odor, and congestion. Granting is consistent with the Howard bylaws, MGL Chapter 40A, Gale, Dietrich, and related cases, as there will be an intensification of one or more existing nonconformities, no new nonconformity, and no substantial detriment to the entire neighborhood. Any relief not expressly granted hereunder is hereby denied. All work shall be performed in accordance with the plan submitted with this application. site grant and approval are subject to the following conditions. During the life of the project, there'll be no demolition, exterior construction, or new landscaping between June 30th and Labor Day of any year. I didn't emphasize regarding, are you gonna be able to maintain all your construction vehicles on site? Okay. That for the life of the approved project, all construction vehicles will be parked on the applicant's property and not on any public street or road. And actually, that's a private road. A violation of the terms and conditions of the special permit may be enforced as a violation of the Howard zoning bylaws pursuant to MGL 40A, Section 7, and the Howard zoning bylaws, as these may be amended from time to time. Any discussion regarding the motion? Okay. Ask for a second for the motion?
Second?
Okay. And a vote on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Motion approved.
Have a great holiday.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, the clerk, if you're ready, when you're ready, you can call the next case.
Case number 2023-20, Lorraine A. Lella, here, Glen Crow. Owner of the property located at 8 Cottage Ave, assessors map 6, parcel G1-5-1 in the RH1 zoning district. The applicant seeks a special permit with an alternative of variance to convert a porch to habitable space pursuant to the Howard zoning bylaws 325-52 and 54 and MGL chapter 40A, section 6 and 10.
Okay. The only, there are no concerns by any of the departments, really. The one issue was for the Board of Health, did send a response. And actually, I have reviewed the application for special permit to convert his porch to habitable space at 8 Cottage Avenue. As proposed, the Health Department does not have any concern with the project. We're all set going forward there. And voting on the case tonight will be Dave Nunnally, Chris Murphy, Tim Bailey, John August, and Ken Dixon. And I'd like to have the applicant representative introduce themselves and present your case.
Thank you, Chair. Attorney William Kroll from Howardsport, and I have seated next to me Rob McPhee from McPhee Associates Builders in Dennis, and the property owner Lorraine Palella is seated behind us in the yellow. We're seeking a special permit this evening for a structure built in the same footprint. We have a proposed addition to remove the existing porch and make it into habitable space. This property, as per the assessors map that I submitted, is located south of Lower County Road, south of Northern Avenue as you approach Nantucket Sound. You have the plot plan and the building and elevation plans, building commissioner's denial letter, so-called. I believe this is a fairly straightforward case. We're taking a porch and making it into habitable space, basically exactly the same footprint. So you might ask, well, if it meets all of the setbacks in the middle of the house, then why do you have to be here? And I tried to explain it in my narrative to you, that we meet all the requirements for not having to be here, except that we are pre-existing non-conforming as to the site coverage. Site coverage is 35% max, and we're at 65%. We're not increasing that more than, no, we're not increasing the site coverage because we offset it by removing some of the patio. We're increasing the building coverage by 0.03%, so no biggie there. But that's why we can't do it as of right. We have to have a special permit from you folks because we are already non-conforming as to site coverage, and that's not changing. But I talked with Jack Mee, the building commissioner, about it, and that was his position. I understand that it's in accordance with what the bylaw says. So here we are, and we're asking you to grant a special permit in accordance with our bylaw, which says you can do that if you, under our bylaw, without the Gale case. You can do it if you are not creating any more nonconformity than already exists. And under the Gale case, we are intensifying, I suppose, the nonconforming site coverage by converting it from a porch to habitable space. That's the key to the whole thing, as to why we have to be here. So our position is that the end result would not be a substantial increase or create a substantial increase in noise, odors, fumes, congestion, traffic, or the like, would not create a nuisance, and would not be a substantial detriment to the entire neighborhood, and ask that you grant the special permit. Thank you.
Thank you. What is the expected time frame for construction?
I'll let Mr. McPhee answer that.
This fall, late September, October.
Given the, I like to go through, given the narrow road and so forth, and for some reason you've extended your construction, we're probably looking at the June 30th Labor Day situation for no construction.
That should be fine.
All right, just wanted to go for it. I was like, get that in before I forget. Questions, starting with John?
Nope, no questions.
No question.
No questions. Tim?
I just had a question just for my own knowledge. There's a 1990 special permit that was a part of the application you made. Is that a requirement at the town, or is, I guess, why is that included?
It's required in the application that I make you aware of any prior decisions by this board.
That special permit would have no effect on the one you're applying for today.
It does not, in my opinion, it does not. I attached a copy of it, I believe, to my application. So you could see that it was to create a second floor to the existing dwelling. So it doesn't really have any bearing on what we're trying to do today, but if it did have bearing on it, then you want to know about it. If we were just in 3 years ago and got turned down for the same request, then it might have a bearing on your decision tonight.
No, thank you. I was just curious. Appreciate it.
No questions.
When you hire this attorney, you get it all.
Yeah,
All the
no, it's
documents, there's no question about it, everything's in front of you.
Thank you.
Okay. I have no further questions. Is there, I'm going to open this up to open meeting. Is there anyone here tonight that wants to speak and be heard regarding this case? Okay. Hearing none, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Vote on the closing?
Aye.
All those in favor? Okay. Any further discussion by the board? guidance?
No.
Okay. All right. The chair will now read the motion. Case number 2023-20, Lorraine A., I apologize, Paolella? Paolella. Care of William D. Kroll, Esquire, 466 Route 28, Howardsport, Mass. 02646. Owner of the property located at 8 Cottage Ave, Assessors Map 6, parcel G151, in the RH1 zoning district. The applicant has been granted a special permit to convert a porch to habitable space. The current structure is a lawfully pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The proposed intensification of pre-existing nonconformities will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the current structures because it will not create any additional negative impacts with respect to traffic, noise, odor, and congestion. Granting is consistent with the Howard bylaws, MGL Chapter 40A, Gale, Dietrich, and related cases, as there will be an intensification of one or more existing nonconformities, no new nonconformity, and no substantial detriment to the entire neighborhood. Any relief not expressly granted hereunder is hereby denied. All work should be performed in accordance with the plan submitted with this application. Said grant and approval are subject to the following conditions. During the life of this project, there should be no demolition, construction, or new landscaping between June 30th and Labor Day of any year. And I forgot to ask about vehicles being on your site. Where do we stand on that, gentlemen?
Be on the site.
We're gonna stay on site, okay. That for the life of the property, the life of the approved project, all construction vehicles will be parked on the applicant's property and not on any public street or road. A violation of the terms and conditions of the special permit may be enforced as a violation of the Howard zoning bylaws pursuant to MGL 40A, Section 7, and the Howard zoning bylaw, as this may be amended from time to time. Any further discussion by the board? Okay. Hearing none, I'd like to ask for a motion. A second. Okay. And a vote on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approved.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We're all set. Congratulations.
You're welcome. Take care.
Now, wait a minute. There we go. Okay, can I have the clerk read the next case, please?
Case number 2023-21, James S. and Deborah Welch, represented by William Kroll, owner of the property located at 34 Bayview Road, Assessors Map 14, parcel X11 in the RL zoning district. The applicant seeks a special permit or the alternative of variance to construct an addition onto a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling pursuant to the Howard zoning bylaws 325-52 and -54 in MGL Chapter 40A, Section 6 and 10.
Received a handout from the attorney. This is a supportive letter that's been sent by
same folks
Oh, yeah.
as the Woodland Road. When you started to read the previous one, Mr. Chairman, I started to get up to say you got the wrong case, but it's a very similar letter from the same folks. They
Are they on
abutters.
retainer? I mean, let me pass this forward here.
Anytime I need a supportive letter, I just call the Wheelers and we're all set.
Just go second.
Okay, here you go.
Right.
Chris, as clerk, would you read the letter, just so we have, put this in the record?
June 26, 2023, to whom it may concern, we have known James and Debbie Welch for approximately 25 years. Over that extended time, we have found them to be welcoming, kind, respectful, and considerate of everyone in the neighborhood. We have discussed their plan to construct a one-car garage as an addition to their home and convert their screened-in porch to a family room, and have no reservations with that plan. We believe said plan does not represent does not present a detriment to the neighborhood, and as such, ask that you approve their request.
So I have only department letter. There are no concerns except from the Board of Health. And I'm sure this has been addressed, but I'm going to read it into the record. Case number 2023-21. By the way, these are all from Carrie tonight, from Carrie Schoner, the senior health agent. I reviewed the application for a special permit to construct an addition onto a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling located at 34 Bayview Road. The unfinished storage space must remain unfinished. The space is, if finished, meets the definition of a bedroom. The driveway cannot be placed over the septic. The components are not weight-bearing. Should you require further information, please give me a call. Okay, so voting on this tonight here will be myself, Dave Nunnally, Chris Murphy, Tim Bailey, and Ken Dixon. Okay, I'd like to have the applicant introduce themselves and who are assisting you.
Thank you, Chair. Attorney William Kroll from Harwichport, and I have seated with me Deborah Welch, who is one of the owners, along with her husband James, who could not be here tonight. But Deborah drove down to be in attendance at the hearing, so thank you for doing that. And by the way, the letter from the Wheelers, in all seriousness, it's purely coincidental. They happen to be the abutters
We
to
realize
both of
that,
them,
right.
both of the petitions tonight, and they had the same heartfelt feelings about both petitioners, so there you have it.
And
Must be a nice neighborhood.
It's a very nice
we're confident that it's genuine.
Good. So the location of this property, if you go down, you go east on Main Street, Route 28, Harwichport, and you come to to Ember, and then on the left, and then the Melrose condominium on the right, and then there's Bayview Road right after the Melrose. And if you take that right, and then there's a sign that has like 4 or 5 numbers of, street numbers of houses, and you go in that little Bayview Lane, Bayview Road, and as you're driving in, you're on the back side of the Melrose condominium garage units. So those are all garage units, and then on the left-hand side, as the Bayview Road makes a left, that's this corner lot that we're dealing with. And as shown on the certified plot plan, the immediate southerly abutter has a tennis court right up to the lot line. So what the Welches are seeking is a special permit to construct an addition to the pre-existing non-conforming single-family residence as per the plot plan and the building and elevation plans that have been submitted. They're not asking to have any new bedrooms. Before I forget, they're not going to finish off the space above the garage, proposed garage, because they know that would be a bedroom and it would exceed their septic capacity, so they're aware of that. And with regard to the driveway, that's between them and the Board of Health on any type of H10, H20 loading, things of that nature. It's not this board's jurisdiction. The existing dwelling is 10.2 feet from that southerly lot line. It shows a stone patio, and then you see the fence for the tennis court right up to that lot line. On the westerly side, they're 12.3 feet from Bayview Road as it makes that right angle left and goes south. It's conforming right now at 40.9 feet from Bayview Road on the north, which, as I said, the other side of Bayview Road are the garage units for Melrose. And on the east, they're 50.6 feet total from the easterly lot line. So they have considerable distance on the east side of their lot. Their house is tucked down into the southwest corner, and so they have significant space. If you drove by, it's a beautiful lot, well-maintained landscape. I'm sure it has its moments in the winter. Things get a little tight, but it's very well cared for. So the proposed addition would still be conforming, has to be conforming, and it's set back from Bayview Road at 27.7, has to be at least 25, and it has to be at least 20 feet from the easterly abutter, it's 22.6, so northerly and easterly, it's conforming. They're not changing the westerly side of the existing house at all, so that stays at 12.3. And they're being a little bit more conforming with the addition at 11.9 instead of going right to the 10.2 of the existing house. So they're stepping it back just a bit, about 1.5 feet. But the end result is on the southerly side there, because it'll be 11.9 feet, and they can, under our bylaw, continue right along at 10.2 as long as they're not increasing it. Under Gale, they could even go closer, but they're stepping it back a little bit. But they still will have habitable space within the 20-foot setback. So that's why, again, the main reason we have to be here is we're creating habitable space within the setback, and we are creating an addition or constructing an addition to the house. The existing building coverage is non-conforming at 25.6. The max is 15%, and that would go up from 25.6 to 36.5, so it'd be going up about 11%. The existing site coverage, 38.5, is non-conforming also. 30% max will increase to 49.4%. So I've tried to point out that we have a road and then garage bays for the condominium as a buffer on the north, and on the south we have a tennis court. The east is, we meet the setback requirements on the east side. So increasing the non-conforming aspects of the building coverage and the site coverage, in my opinion, is not unreasonable. I don't think that it would be a substantial detriment to the entire neighborhood. As Mr. Ryer likes to say, it would not devalue the other residences, the other houses in the neighborhood. I think it would enhance their value, as most improvements do. So I don't think that's an unreasonable increase in either building coverage or site coverage, especially where you have tennis courts, roads, and garages as buffers. So the petitioners would contend that the addition would not result in any or create any substantial increase in noise, odors, fumes, congestion, traffic, would not create a nuisance in the neighborhood, and would not constitute a substantial detriment to the entire neighborhood. We would ask that you grant the special permit this evening. Thank you.
Pleasure. John, any questions?
No questions.
No question.
Ken?
No questions.
No questions?
Okay, I got a couple, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
I realize the septic is not our purview, not questioning that, okay? But out of curiosity, that's where the septic exists now, correct?
It's where it was when they bought it, it's where the driveway was when they bought the property.
And when they built, the house built, so that hasn't changed.
Apparently, it's the first time that the Board of Health has,
Is it because
Raise
rules,
that issue.
because it has have the rules changed on weight loading on the driveways and so forth for the septic system? Just, again, I'm always like to get educated a little bit.
for my entire career, it's been, if you are driving over with vehicles over a septic system or a leaching system, they have to be H20 loading instead of H10.
Yeah,
That's the extent of my knowledge of septic systems, other than my family was in the business of installing septic systems for 50 years. So that, I don't know why that situation exists. I don't know for certain. I'm assuming Carrie Schoner is accurate as to whether that's H10 or H20. I don't have a copy of a septic.
okay. Yeah, I just found it
Report.
interesting, the fact it's already there, that's why I was,
And you bought the house 20, 25?
No, 5 years ago.
5 years ago, sorry.
And it was like
But
that
you've
when
known
we
the
bought it.
Wheels,
Yes,
yes.
yes. We have a house on Woodland Road as well.
So there was this, when the Welches bought the property, there would have been a septic inspection at that time. It's required whenever a residence changes hands, and apparently that issue was not raised
okay.
with the seller at that time. And so the Welches thought, okay, everything's good.
The, as you know, as we propose every motion, we always include the fact that all works be performed in accordance with plans submitted with this application. So basically, if for any reason the Board of Health would require you to make a change, we'd have to come, may have to come back here. I doubt this is going to affect your construction, but,
I don't, if I may, I don't think it would affect our footprint at all.
okay.
I think that perhaps in the garage, is this where the garage door would be? So you'd be coming out this way?
Correct.
All right. So they could always alter the shell drive, so they could enter from Bayview Road into that garage where it says 16.0 feet. Just enter into that and get the shell driveway off of the septic without having to move the septic.
Okay, I just want to raise that point, because I don't want to do a motion that, if I need to adjust the motion, so that it won't require you to come back if a change is made. That's all, I'm just raise the question, that's all.
I'm comfortable with what we've presented.
Okay.
And that, that they would not have to install a new septic system. For
Yep.
me, I'd move my driveway.
Okay,
And they're going to have a new portion of the driveway anyway to get into the garage off the road.
all right, oh, thank you, okay.
'Cause that turnaround right now, that half circle, and then the turnaround, you wouldn't need the turnaround way over there. You'd need it over nearer to the garage.
So you've got
We have options.
opportunities to make the adjustments.
We have options, right,
Okay,
right.
all right. And I know you related to the surrounding properties. Any idea what their site coverage is regarding, in comparison to this property?
It's a tight neighborhood, so I would assume everybody has
Pretty high.
site coverage
Yeah, I thought so as well. Okay.
issues, yes. That's why I wanted to drive in and see. So does the tennis court.
In the parking garage?
Yes, right.
Yeah, the only one that probably is less is house down the street from you. I forget the 26, I think it is, Bayview. They seem to have a lot of land in their site. Okay. And we're having no increase in bedrooms, from what I can tell.
Correct.
Okay. I'd like to open it up to open meeting. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak to this application? Hearing none, I'd like to move to, I'm gonna make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second by Chris. Hearing no discussion. All those in favor of closing public meeting?
Aye.
Any further discussion by the board regarding this application?
No.
All right. So the chair will make a motion. Case number 2023-21, James S. and Deborah Welch, care of William D. Kroll, Esquire, 466 Route 28, Howardsport, Mass. 02646. Owner of the property located at 34 Bayview Road, Assessors Map 14, Parcel X11 in the RL zoning district. The applicant has been granted a special permit to construct an addition onto a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The current structure is a lawfully pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The proposed intensification of pre-existing nonconformities will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the current structures, because it will not create any additional negative impacts with respect to traffic, noise, odor, and congestion. Granting is consistent with the Howard bylaws, MGL Chapter 40A, Gale, Dietrich, and related cases, as it will be an intensification of one or more existing nonconformities, no new nonconformities, and no substantial detriment to the entire neighborhood. Any relief not expressly granted hereunder is hereby denied. All work shall be performed in accordance with the plan submitted with this application. Site grant and approval are subject to the following conditions. During the life of the project, there shall be no demolition, exterior construction, or new landscaping between June 30th and Labor Day of any year. I believe this is be fine at the life of the project. All construction vehicles will be parked on the applicant's property and not on any public road or street. A violation of the terms and conditions of this special permit may be enforced as a violation of the Howard zoning bylaws pursuant to MGL 40A, Section 7, and the Howard zoning bylaw, as these may be amended from time to time. Any further discussion by the board regarding the motion?
Any issue with the construction vehicles?
I have them on the property during the life of the, okay. Yeah, so for the life of the approved project, all construction vehicles be parked on the applicant's property and not on any public street or road. Okay. Okay. So no discussion of the motion? Okay, can I hear a second?
Second?
Okay. Second by Ken. Okay. I vote the motion. All those in favor, approval?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. We are approved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Forgot to bring this as water.
That was suspicious.
You've got a problem. You want to call her?
My neighbor Al Payne can speak for me, he likes me a lot, I think.
Just give me a moment here to get myself organized. Okay. Chris, when you're ready, if you have you clerk read the Thanks, Clerk, to read the case.
Case number 2023-22, 10 Braddock Lane LLC, represented by Bill Kroll, Lynn Kroll, owner of the property located at 10 Braddock Street, assesses map M7, parcel F2, in the RH1 zoning district. The applicant seeks a special permit or in the alternative of variance to construct an addition onto a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling pursuant to the Howard zoning bylaws 325-52 and 4, and MGL chapter 40A, section 6 and 10.
The only departmental input was from the Board of Health, or the others, excuse me. Police was fine, and they inputted it in, and the planning department was fine. From the from Terry Schoner, the senior health agent, Board of Health, I reviewed the application for the special permit to construct an addition onto a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling located at 10 Braddock Street. The office and the bonus room meet the definition of a bedroom, proposing a 6-bedroom dwelling. The septic is only designed for 4 bedrooms. A licensed septic installer will need to apply for a permit to upgrade the septic prior to signing off any building permit. Should require additional information, give her a call. Voting on the case here tonight will be David Nunnally, Chris Murphy, Tim Bailey, John August, and Ken Dixon. And I'd like to have the applicant representative introduce themselves, and those who are assisting you in the, present the application.
Thank you. My thanks to the chair. Attorney William Kroll from Howardsport. I have seated with me to my right Sam Park, who is the owner and manager of the LLC that owns the property. But don't be misled, because it's not a big business enterprise for the parks. They've been coming down to Braddock Lane for over 20 years, Sam and his wife and 4 daughters, and this is where they want to be and where Sam wants to retire. So, you're all familiar with Bank Street, Lower Bank Street, south of 28, and as you drive down to the right, there is Braddock Street, and then that goes down and around and comes back out to Bank Street, where the Winstead is, and before you get to the Winstead, right on that corner there, if you've been down to see it, the stakes, and you can see where the proposed addition would be, and the house, and it fronts on Nantucket Sound. Sam and I have been working on this project for 4 years now, so this is a big night to be coming before you. And he's already been to the Conservation Commission 6 months ago, and had the footprint approved by Conservation. The existing dwelling is 12.6 feet from the right-of-way on the westerly side, as shown on the plan. And that's important because we can maintain that nonconformity on that side by adding on to that existing dwelling. As you can see with the proposed addition, will be 12.9 feet, a few inches further back from the right-of-way. But it does not have to be 25 feet back, because, as you would have to be normally from a right-of-way, because of the existing nonconformity. And the Gale case allows us to intensify that nonconformity, as you know, and create new habitable space within that 25-foot setback. In all other respects, the proposed addition, and it's not a new dwelling, it's an addition to the existing dwelling, the proposed addition and garage will meet the northerly, easterly, and southerly setbacks as shown on the plan. They also, the end result, ending structure will meet the building coverage maximum, which is 30%. Right now, it's 2.9%. It will increase to 9.9%, still significantly below that maximum. And the existing site coverage at 11.6%, the 35% max will increase to 19.7, but still more than 15% below the maximum. So all of the setbacks will be conforming, and the site coverage and building coverage will be conforming. If we were, I'm not suggesting it, but if we were 25 feet from that right-of-way, we wouldn't have to be here. But that's where they've cited the addition, and it's annexed to the existing dwelling, which is already that distance from the right-of-way. So Sam is going to speak in a minute as to all of the thought process and planning that went into the development of the plans that you have this evening. So, as you've heard in my previous presentations, the petitioner's contention is that the addition would not result in any or create any substantial increase in noise, odors, fumes, traffic, congestion, or the like. Still remains a single-family residence. It will not create a nuisance, and it will not be a substantial detriment to the entire neighborhood. And Sam is going to also speak a little bit about the mass of the dwelling and how, and some of the tweaks that he's made to keep the height of the dwelling down. So he's going to talk about that. So I'd like him to address those now, if you would.
If I could also add, I've known the previous owners for close to 20 years. And so my kids were actually raised in this house. My wife is a former lifeguard over at West Dennis Beach, actually. So we have a lot of ties here. Originally, we were planning to retire here, and I would have probably retired earlier if I could have afforded it. That's why it's taken us 4 years, not because of delays. But at the end of the day, I happen to like the existing house. It was built in 1945 or something like that, or 1950. So since my kids are raised there, we've got little wood notches of their height as they've grown on the walls. Our goal has been to hold that house. And so consequently, we've looked at a bunch of schemes. Our original plan was just to widen it, and just pretty much spread across our properties. But in looking at it, we've ended up trying to minimize the impact, specifically on our neighbor, Alan Payne and Mary.
On the east?
On the east side of us. So we've actually pulled the house back closer to the street. It does really a couple things intentionally. One is it allows us to apparently stack the massing so that we can preserve close to 50 feet between us and any adjacent structure for view quarters through the property. It also allows us to, if you can picture, my neighbor's house is right here, right about here. And when we first started looking at building a house right next to the existing house, I was a little bit worried that he'd have sort of a tunnel, between the hotel, the Winstead, and us. So we actually intentionally moved it back and then slid it over to kind of compress the overall width of the house. In addition to that, what we've tried to do is, and I don't know if Bill shared these with you, but it's been designed in kind of a Cape Cod feel where we tuck the bedrooms that are falling on the second floor, and I'll pass this around, into dormers to keep the ceiling heights down. And it basically, we've also pulled back from each side of the building. Instead of going 2 stories all the way to the end, we put basically shed roofs to make up the first floor requirements, but pulled the second stories in. So the actual second story is considerably smaller than the footprint that's shown on the site plan. So it basically keeps these quartered. In addition, where it's sited now means the new structure and the existing structure are kind of stacked, so that it basically leaves close to 50 feet between us and the Paynes, and plus the additional 10 feet. And it includes another 50 feet from us and the Montieros, because there's also a pathway between there. In addition, by pulling it, one of the good things is by pulling it closer to the street, if you look at where our property is located, we're located at the base of the hill. And as the hill goes up, we have neighbors up there that we've tried to minimize the impact vertically. So two things that we've done is lower the height of the garage, but also by pulling it back, it actually tucks it closer, tucks it further in so that the visual height impact is less significant. Not that we're not violating any, we're actually lower than the 30 feet, even by adjusting for the floodplain issue. But it has dormers and it has, and this is the side view if it helps any, but it's meant to be just
I think
basically.
we have them.
I think we have,
Oh, okay, great.
we have all the plans.
We have it.
Oh, you got the whole set. In that case,
Yeah, I gave him
so
multiple
that's it.
plans.
Our goal is to basically
Tree
move down
died.
here. The existing house really is, I have a feeling this is going to, since I have 4 daughters, I have a feeling that the new structure will be the girls' rooms, and the old shack will be my house or the garage. I'm not sure where she's going to put me. But it's, our plan is to basically hopefully move down here within the next 2 or 3 years. And just as a side note, if you, we've been part of the community for quite a while. If you go into the Nines Gallery on Main Street, a lot of those paintings of the bottles are from my house, actually.
Oh, really?
She has keys to my house, and she goes in, and on sunny winter days, she stacks the little bottles on her porch and actually photographs them. Luke photographs them, and she paints them. So, of course, it means I've got to buy paintings when I build the new house from her, but which I'm not sure I can.
Check out that store in Howard's Port, right at, next to the candy store and Dr. Gravity's
Yeah,
and
yeah,
George's
so-
Pizza, and those bottles are situated, and you can see the sound out from their porch. They're very good painting and photographs. Thank you, Sam.
And just in response to the septic system, we're aware that we're increasing the number of bedrooms, and we have Ryder Wilcox designing the septic system for basically, I think, 6 or 7 bedrooms just to play it safe, as well as the additional backup reserve capacity. So we don't see that as any issue at all.
Thank you.
Sure.
Part of the 4-year delay was Sam has 4 lovely daughters that he had to put through college for the last 4 or 5 years.
That is very true.
And the last one just graduated.
Just graduated, so.
Congratulations.
Now it's 4 weddings, right?
Maybe you can invite the Wheelers, so the next time.
Yeah, well, actually, I think I know the Wheeler. She's on Woodland Road, so I think I know who she is.
So I have nothing further, Mr. Chairman. That's our presentation, and we ask that you grant the special permit this evening.
Thank you. Okay, questions from the board? John?
The only thing I was just trying to figure out from the drawings is the existing 4-bedroom structure. Are you like blowing the walls out in that, or what becomes of that?
No, actually, the sort of what I'll call the gable cape structure stays intact.
Right.
We are converting the upstairs, which has 4 very tiny bedrooms, into basically a sitting area and 1 bedroom. And the second, the bottom part will stay basically, I think, a crafts room, for lack of a better term. And we're designing as if it is a 2-bedroom capability, because I think the Board of Health goes by room count, not by whether you use it for bedrooms or not.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of, because you got the
Yeah.
4 bedrooms plus the office and the bonus room in the new structure.
Correct.
The old structure was 4 bedrooms. I'm wondering
that's
how the
not-
Board of Health got back to 6.
Yeah, so.
Right. Somewhere 4 bedrooms got eliminated.
The office was a
right?
bit of a surprise, so
Right.
it really is intended to be, it's right next to the kitchen, so, and it's fully windowed, so I don't think it'll be a bedroom, so if we have to open it up with an archway,
Right.
we'll do that. I believe we have plenty of room, since it's, I think, one of the larger lots down on Braddock Street, to be able to accommodate up to an 8-room septic system if we need to. But, since it's, I don't think my kids are gonna hang out with me all that often, so it's, there'll probably be more artists.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I
Mrs.
assume
Wheeler,
there
of
had to be
course,
some
right?
modification of, yeah, there had to be some modification of that existing structure to those no longer to be considered bedrooms.
Yes, understood.
Now, you've made a couple comments about neighbors and trying to accommodate, and I think about Gale being detrimental to the entire neighborhood. When I drove by it, I thought, wow, we're losing a lot of view here, at least from the street, the people across the street. There's a lot of new construction going on there.
Yeah.
Are any of the abutters here? I see that other people are here in the
I
room.
believe they own houses on the hill. I don't know what their position is. I know if you need, Alan Payne and Mary are happy to, our immediate abutters and the Montieros. They have no objections to the plans. In fact, I was just having dinner with the Paynes next door.
I will point out, if I may, Mr. Chairman, that, as you know, in Massachusetts, there's no legal right to a view.
Correct.
Unless you have a recorded view easement, there's no right to a view. So if somebody builds a house in front of you, that's the chance you take by not not owning that house, you're owning behind them.
I would say this is probably the third edition of what we've, just to give you sort of like how our design consciousness has gone. You know, by basically moving the house back and behind the existing structure, it's minimized, we could have gone another 20 feet wider on the east side. But it's oddly enough also by moving, the building across the street from us is actually a hotel. It's this formerly Cedar, now the Kingfisher. And as you go up the hill, all the other houses are probably, I don't know exactly, I'm sure they can tell you because they are up there, are 20 feet or so higher than us. So by tucking it closer into the crotch of the hill, we're actually reducing the impact. If we had built it straight next to the existing house, it would have had more impact. And so I think, we asked the architect to address that issue. And so, we have our existing, what I'll call view blockage is probably 32 feet wide. We've added on to that, obviously, but it's obviously tucked in behind the existing structure if you look at the way it's kind of juxtaposed as opposed to going all the way across. So
No other
there's
questions?
been an attempt to address it, both in height and in sort of
Thank you.
breadth.
Thank you.
I have no questions.
I have no questions.
No question, I will say, I have one daughter, so I can't imagine four. If you ever need a hug, we're here
If
every.
you'd like to balance the odds out, I'm happy to give away one or two of them.
God bless you.
Timeframe on construction?
Having lived through the construction next door to us, I can guarantee you we aren't going to be disrupted during the summers because the good thing about adding to it is we'll still be down here every summer. I think we'd like to do the foundation sometime in October.
This October?
This October, if we can get everything lined up, get it actually framed in, hopefully by winter. I know that sounds very quick, but we'll probably get it framed in and put a freeze on things until, we go back and get, at that point, we're just doing interior construction. So I think I am a developer, so our contractors are doing us a favor and trying to fast track everything that they can get done. But it's it's a pretty straightforward foundation system. So I think they're already looking at speccing, all the material orders. We won't start until everything's sort of ready to go. And then I think our builders ought to be able to do it pretty quickly. And then the interior and all the trades will be done locally. We have a local plumber and a local electrician and local carpenters that'll do all the interior build out.
And I'm assuming, given the site, you'd be able to maintain your vehicles on the site?
Easily, yes. I actually allowed the neighbors to put their construction vehicles on our property to keep them off the street, so.
You mentioned that you apprised your butters to either side of you.
Yes.
And I gather, have any other butters been reviewed these
No,
plans?
I don't think they have actually,
Okay,
other
all right.
than, we went through Concom, gave notices and.
And what is the current building height?
I think the current height is 30 feet. It might be 28 feet, actually, the existing structure.
Okay. And I know you know the proposed structure is gonna be under 30, but it's gonna be basically, like, slightly under 30, so it's gonna be at the 30-foot range or less.
The part with the garage part is actually 4 feet lower than that. I think so
Okay.
it'll be like 27.
Yeah,
We would actually be lower, except that we've raised the first floor elevation just to guarantee that the structure's out of the floodplain. So the first floor elevation, existing floor is like 12 and a half, and then I think the new floor elevation is 13 and a half. floodplain is actually elevation 12, so that gives us room for the structure with, maybe it's 13, I don't have the exact, and then it goes from there.
Okay, I don't have any further questions.
It's definitely lower than all the trees that are there today anyway.
Sure, no, I understand.
Most of those.
And it's obviously a very nice view from the ocean. Going to open it up to the open meeting. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to speak on behalf of this? Okay. All right, hearing none, I can make a motion to close the public hearing. Second by Chris. And I'd like to hear a vote for closing the open meeting.
Aye.
Okay, approved. Any additional discussion by anyone on the board regarding this application?
No.
Okay. Well, that being the case, the chair will make a motion on this case. Case number 2032-22, 10 Braddock Lane LLC. Care of William D. Kroll, Esquire, 466 Route 28, Harwich Port, Mass. 02646. Owner of the property located at 10 Braddock Street, Assessors Map 7, Parcel F20, in the RH1 zoning district. The applicant has been granted a special permit to construct an addition onto a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The current structure is a lawfully pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The proposed intensification of a pre-existing nonconformities will be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the current structures, because it will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the current structures, because it will not create any new additional negative impacts with respect to traffic, noise, odor, and congestion. Granting is consistent with the Howard bylaws, MGL Chapter 40A, Gale, Dietrich, and related cases, as there will be an intensification of one or more existing nonconformities, no new nonconformity, and no substantial detriment to the entire neighborhood. Any relief not expressly granted hereunder is hereby denied. All work shall be performed in accordance with the plan submitted with this application. Said grant and approval are subject to the following conditions. During the life of the project, there should be no demolition, exterior construction, or new landscaping between June 30th and Labor Day of any year. That for the life of the approved project, all construction vehicles will be parked on the applicant's property and not on any public street or road. A violation of the terms and conditions of the special permit may be enforced as a violation of the Howard zoning bylaws pursuant to GL 40A, Section 7, and of course the Howard zoning bylaws, as these may be amended from time to time. Any further discussion by the board? I'd like to hear a motion, second for this? Second the motion? Okay. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.
It's never locked if anyone wants to swing by and enjoy the
Journey
beach.
has
And
just begun.
there's a bottle of scotch on the porch at all times.
Well, as long as the bottle of
Dan Carroll, who
scotch,
lives up the street, there's actually, this is a funny story. We have 2 beach chairs on the dune. And one is because Dan, who's been there for like a zillion years, Dan and Connie, can't walk down the beach anymore. So they pull into our driveway and they know where, and they just sit on, it's really their chairs. I'm leaving out there for them, so.
Will that chair remain after construction?
It definitely will. I won't hear the end of it from Dan.
well, we can accept that bottle of scotch as long as the value is not more than $50.
Then you may have a problem.
And then it's cheap scotch, and then I don't want it.
Then you don't want it, right?
By the
Just don't
glass.
drink more than,
Yeah,
just
I mean,
drink more than 2 shots. You'll be set.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
My
Look forward to being
pleasure.
part of the neighborhood.
You already are.
I am.
Good luck.
Good, thank you.
Okay. All right.
What Sam didn't tell you is that one of his 4 daughters last year was Miss New York.
Oh, really? Wow.
Miss New York. A year ago.
Very nice.
Must take you after the mother.
That's what I told her.
All right. Before we get into the additional minutes and so forth, I'd just like to take a 5-8-minute break, okay, if we don't mind.
Well done.
Yep.
Yeah. We're just gonna take a break.
Well done, Chris. Good job over there, man.
Yeah.
You're natural.
With no warning.
Yeah? Oh, really? You didn't know that coming in?
Didn't know it was coming. That's the reason he did the motions.
Okay.
Like, he wasn't gonna throw that at me last second.
Well, still, well done.
I can read a sheet of paper. I've only been retired 5 years, so give me a few more. Maybe I'll figure out how to read.
I thought it was ominous on the new business with the board reorganization, and then he's here doing the secretary work. I was like,
Sorry, I didn't hear you. What's that?
I said, I thought it was ominous on the minutes is the board reorganization. No. And then he's here acting as secretary. I'm like, oh, something
That's the reorg. Yeah.
we're gonna find out about tonight?
How long have you guys been down here now? Full time?
Full-time? Well, I mean, we moved here in 21, March of 21. I mean, we had the place in the Cape
For a long time.
in Eastham.
Yeah, I remember.
And
you saying.
essentially, when COVID hit, I decamped to here, so. But it's been great.
There
I
you
mean, yeah, I know, we were talking last time,
Yeah.
you need to come to West Harwich, so
Yeah.
the warm side.
How long have you owned the turn-in?
That was actually, we moved here when we bought it.
Did you have a background in doing that, or did you just come down?
Absolutely
No way. Good for you.
none. Yeah.
So, are you liking it?
Oh, we love it, and if you go on TripAdvisor, we're the #1 listed, property in Harwich, including we beat Wauquasit.
No way.
Our ranking is higher than
There you go.
Wauquasit. So we only have 18 rooms, so we're not the Wauquasit, but, that's a good time. When we started talking about it, I was in construction. I was, doing international construction all over the world, and the way I relaxed was doing gardening and cooking. So it was like, all right, two of the biggest things there is, and I grew up in the construction trades, so, maintaining it and doing stuff was, kind of a no-brainer, so, and my joke was which I really have, I'm Titanium for life with Marriott. I've got like 1,800 nights at Marriott hotels, so I was joking about I've never run an inn, but I stayed at Holiday Inn last night. It's like I've stayed, about 3,000 nights in hotels in my life. So I'm like, I have a pretty good idea what people want when they're traveling. I know what I wanted. So, but it's fun.
Nice.
And, you get the occasional person that you're like, how long are they here? When are they leaving?
Are mostly weekly stays?
What's that?
Mostly a week?
No, our average stay is like 3.5 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, when you average that over the whole year,
Yeah.
because you get a lot of people that coming up just for weddings or just for a long weekend.
Okay.
We I've been trying to market more. So like right now, we have a writers conference there.
Okay.
So we booked the whole place out to a group of writers that come up here every year.
Okay.
Writers?
Yeah, they're actually psychologists who write both fiction and nonfiction, and they have a writing conference every year. So we, two of them stayed with us last year, and I started talking with them, and we were like talking about how hard it was with everybody staying in different places. So I was like, well, just rent the whole place, rent it for a week. I'll do that for you. And then I've hooked up with the Cape Cod Senior Baseball Tournament in the fall. Trying to get shoulder season stuff.
Yeah.
So, we've doubled the revenue that the previous owners had, which is what I always point out to the town when I'm talking to them, because they've doubled their sales tax revenue from us. And like, come on, guys,
Well, a lot of that has to
work
do
with
with,
me on some of this.
a lot of that is us helping you out with that room, right?
With that room, actually, it did. That, honestly, that's probably 50 grand a year
Really?
increase, just to make that change.
Wow.
Because the old thing was so tired and nasty. I couldn't rent it for more than, $1,400, $1,500 a week. Now I have 2 units that I can do for $350 a night.
Yeah, beautiful.
I mean, it was like, no-brainer. And it's full through the summer. It's done and open now. You know, Jack Nee was out there the other day doing his annual inspection, kind of signing off on everything. Yeah. That's why, I mean, I'm sorry, we're still in break period, but that's why it was the one permit, the first one, that, you know, I had been told originally that I couldn't do any of the work there myself, because we're a business.
Oh, wow.
And I had to talk to Jack about it, because I'm like, you telling me the maintenance guys of the Wacquasit never
Right, knock out some work.
add a, you know, to replace a window or a toilet? And I'm like, okay, you know, come on, like, I think it was a misinterpretation of, since we're a business and not a residence, I'm not allowed to apply for a building permit without having a contractor, is what I was told. But, you know, again, through learning, I'm like, but there's a lot of things I could do. I don't even need a building, you know. If I need to re-roof one of my cottages, and they're only 13 feet tall, like, I don't need to get a roofer to do that. Like, you know, why? But that's what I was originally told by the town. But Jack, I think, has been better to
I like
work with.
working with him.
Yeah. You know, and I walked him around, you know, he has to do the annual inspection anyway, so we walked around the property and talked about what I was planning for the next couple of years. I'm like, seriously? Like, you know, if I replace a couple of Anderson windows in this building by myself over the winter, you're telling me I gotta go to a contractor to do that? Like, I know how to do that. Like, so, they
I can
clarified.
understand why that would need to be in place. I can't understand.
It's
Other than
It's just a misinterpretation, I think, of, you know, at the time, there was so much turnover in people. I don't think anybody was like, you know, you're not a contractor and you're not a homeowner, so you can't apply for a building permit. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It is my home.
All right.
It's an inn, granted, I have an innkeeper's license, but, you know, you're telling me I can only apply for a permit through a contractor. That doesn't make any sense. So,
It's all right, couple of things down, just a second. Okay,
I'm glad things actually have calmed down. Jack actually shared with me, he was close to quitting last year. You know, when he first came on board, it was such a disaster. He was like, you know, he said about 3 months in, he was like, what did I get myself into? You know, if not for the fact that he wanted to come back and live in Harwich, he's like, I guess I would have been gone.
Ryan, what do you got?
okay, we're back. All right, new business. So next month, we'll be reorganizing just, you know, the board as far as, you know, voting, nominating and voting, you know, the clerk and the chair for next year, okay? Al's not here tonight. I don't know what his plans are regarding, huh?
He's a great clerk. I think he would love to do it again.
You're nominating him in abstention? Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe, just want to double check, I didn't get any notifications from the selectman's office, the town manager's office, that any of you guys who were up for, I think, actually it was just Al. You know, and you.
Was too.
All right,
I
so you,
was also.
you, okay, so you guys said that you guys are, you
gotta
didn't
do it-
resign.
You have to do it before the July meeting.
Yes,
Yeah, so you're not resigning, you're staying on board.
yes.
Okay, all right, okay. So, next month, we will be, you know, voting in for, chair and clerk, and, you know, I think, we'll, at the end of the next meeting, we'll do the nominations and the election, okay? I'm fine with staying the chair again, all right, but, if any of the current members want to, take the gavel, we'll certainly discuss it.
You're doing wonderful.
Not a problem,
Good work.
you know. Well, the first year's been interesting, and then I feel I'm starting to get into the swing of things, as far as getting a handle on it. And regarding that, I did check with the town clerk, just to make sure, as I go through, I spent a lot of time researching, going back over codes for all the cases, just to, you know, and that's when I dig up things, you know, and as I dig them up, you know, and town clerk said, I'm fine, that I can send you information for the meeting, but can't say, this is regarding this case, read this. You know, you guys gotta work on your own to figure out, when I send you information, sometimes it may be general, but often it's going to be, it may be something regarding cases that we're gonna be hearing. Okay, so I may have dug up some information, or like in some of the stuff I recently sent you, there were interpretations of the code by other legal opinions, or, you know, seminars that might have been conducted by, you know, the collaborative, so forth, CPC group. And bringing those attention, because there are some cases which you think that on the surface, this is fairly straightforward. You know, but we had a case tonight that was withdrawn, that it wasn't, when I went through it, it wasn't as straightforward as I thought it might be, was going to be after going into, you know, the code and the rules and regulations regarding vacant land, you know, and so it's just, anyways, I'm sending out, I'm allowed to send that to you, so you'll be seeing that going forward. The only thing I request is the fact that what you can't do, if you have a particular question, send it back to me individually, if you're gonna make a comment about it, and not send your comment to the whole group. But I can entertain a comment or a question individually, but I can't, you know, can't go to, you know, you can't have more than 2 people talking about any of these things, because you have a third, even on emails about questions, you know. So I just want to point that out. So I'll continue to do that if you guys feel that it's beneficial.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay? All right? And if you don't think it's beneficial, well, the hell with you. No, but anyways, okay. So, do want you to, regarding the Weaponesset Resort or Round Cove, that case has been changed to next month. Obviously, it's a very large project, a lot going on in that. Just request that you know, relook at the attorney's letters and so forth. I had drafted something, and I'll send it to you, you know, what questions I may have, you know, for the town council. And I'll get that out to you in the next couple of days, okay, regarding that, okay? Just because we've got now 3 attorneys with 3 different opinions. Our own town council, obviously the applicant, and the, you know, the attorney for the abutters. And so read that stuff, take a look at it.
Will there be, I mean, one question on that, Brian, is, I guess they're gonna resubmit under sort of a new,
Well, did we get that today?
lots of, will there be an entirely new package, so we can kind of not have it confusing?
We're getting this piecemeal, and I don't know that I have everything.
I
think I do.
No, well, you've got to, yeah, you gotta make sure, whatever you don't have,
I don't know what I don't have.
okay.
I don't know what I don't know.
Well, and I think what piqued my interest was that they're submitting it on a new approach, right, or a new theory, so
Well, right at the moment,
does everything even
I'll,
apply?
I'll ask Alicia, we got this, I guess this came today, this one that was in your information left on the table, correct?
Yep.
Which shows, she's got an X on the application for a special permit, so it's subject to the Board of Appeals, and the word is updated on it. I don't consider this, given the nature of the project, at the moment, I'm not considering this complete.
Yep.
I don't believe it's complete. And I need to find out. Now, I need to find that out within the proper channels. I can't just, like, that's to go through the town office. I can't call up Marion Rose and say, hey, by the way, you know, so maybe an email going out from a town official, like from Alicia or whatever, just to ask the question. Okay, so I'll find that out. The one thing that, and I believe I can discuss this on the open meeting law, at the meeting last night, and also the letter that came from the town attorney, as well as the letter response, which I sent you, which you got from that Marion Rose, the attorney for Singer, the applicant's attorney, reply back regarding the town council's opinion. That was regarding the need for a variance. Now, I think they've got, I think the time frame, I'm not quite sure the time frame ends to send in an application for a meeting. I think it's early next week for the July meeting, okay? I bring that up, and I want to, one thing that came up last night at the planning board meeting,
It's already passed for the July meeting, right?
is it already passed? What is the time frame for July?
June 22nd. According to this,
To get on the July meeting.
to get on the July meeting.
I don't know if an updated application can be sent in, an update can be sent in after that date. I don't know. So I need to find that out. One reason why I want to find it out is it became apparent last night in the discussion that the applicant is concerned about a time frame when they get started on the project. The town council, in their letter, recommended that regarding setbacks, it might possibly require a variance. Right? And I'm not, I don't want to get into a discussion of, we can't discuss, the points here, okay? The applicant feels differently. Now, should the board at the meeting next week, in July, I don't believe we could rule on a variance because that's a higher relief than special permit, and it has not been brought in the case, in the application. If you see Attorney Kroll, he always puts in special permit, and then he adds in about, on the alternative, a variance. He puts it in every case, because during the meeting, if for some reason it spins into a variance, which he doubts is gonna happen, he's got he's covered.
We could not give a variance if they had not already asked for one?
The application does not request consideration of a variance. And a variance is a higher relief than a special permit. So
You're saying if it's on the agenda, right?
it's on the agenda, but the
Listed as
application
is.
is strictly on a special permit.
Yes.
Should we sit here, and when I say this, and it's not saying we,
A case, this is just
okay,
general.
right, the town council said, she recommended they consider getting a variance.
That's not what they asked for.
Huh?
That's not what they asked for.
They haven't asked for one yet. So at the meeting, if it boils down to the fact that, a variance becomes the relief they need, from a discussion with the agreement of the board feels that way, not a special permit, we can't rule on it.
Well, Brian, their application says, describe the petition repeal. Applicant seeks to alter pre-existing non-conforming amenities coverage and to increase pre-existing non-conforming motel use by more than 7,500 square feet in gross floor area. But they don't say that's a special permit and/or a variance. They aren't.
No, but they listed on the application,
Just above it.
on the front page,
That's what I just read from them. But yeah, they did.
the exit.
Yep, got it. Yep.
See?
Yep,
They could have Xed both of them, and they didn't.
got it.
That's something, I read into this a couple of weeks ago, so it's kind of interesting, and it's good for everyone to know. And speaking, the Xing both, this is not speaking to that, but at least on the agenda, if it doesn't say applying for a special permit or in the alternative a variance, if it just says special permit, they then on the day go for a variance, we vote in a pass a variance, somebody can, if there's an abutter or.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Can go to court, sue, and it can stop the project for 2 years, and they have to come back. So that's something we need to be very careful about. We are always, but that is.
Well, actually, it's,
Mention
yeah, we can't, as I understand, we will not be able to vote on,
Either, anyway, yeah.
we can't vote on a variance that hasn't been applied for. So, from what I gather at this point, if we're past the date, and I gotta see what's happening here,
I mean, this was what I was given early in the year of the
Yeah,
deadlines
yeah.
and everything.
What's the date for the July? It's June 22nd.
Second for the July 26th meeting.
So I just want to point, I mean, I'm going to get a clarification from the attorney, town attorney, regarding if, since it hasn't been, I don't believe, applied for yet. Are we, just to verify that we're restricted from acting upon a variance at the meeting?
Or are they allowed to modify a previous application to now?
Right, but I don't, because it has to be
Yeah,
in a notice.
right.
But actually, I do know this. When a item is, when a case is continued, no notifications have to go out to abutters. So you don't have to re-send out notifications.
Right.
It just is done once. Whether this thing gets, a case gets pushed back for 6 months, there's no more abutter notifications.
Right, but my question, although on the same thing, is that a butter notification, if it said they were applying for a special permit,
I don't know.
have to be redone
I-
if now they're applying for a variance?
I want to find out.
Yeah.
So I want to check with town,
Yeah.
I want to check with town council, so we've got our act together at the July meeting to make sure that what our flexibility is, or options are, for considering what type of relief we're giving, special permit or a variance.
Well,
Okay?
they've got a-
Or actually, this could be both. It could be perhaps both, one for use, special permit, and one for a setback situation for a variance.
And the fact that they put the word updated after this new one
I think this is it.
is like they're still saying, I want a special permit,
Correct,
right, which the town council is saying,
correct.
maybe
So
that's not appropriate.
So I want to get that clarification,
Yeah.
so that, otherwise,
Yeah.
this meeting would, and again, I'm not saying this is gonna go very, I mean, we're not discussing, I'm just saying, to follow what the town council recommended,
Yep.
at the moment, we can't vote on that. We can discuss it at a meeting, and the parties can all discuss it at a meeting, but as far as actually doing it, it'd be pushed into an extra month, from what I gather, and I just want to verify that with the town council.
And they've got 6 months, right? So this thing was carried over from the 3/29.
Yeah, but they can always reapply again to extend it.
Got
The first, when we gave them the extension, and there's a form for that, which we signed, that's good for 6 months.
But they can apply for another one.
We can, I believe we can renew it again. That has to be done at a meeting. If someone's just going to continue for one month, we can just vote on it. If it's gonna be continued for more than a month, or at the time, we think it could possibly be continued for more than 1 month, then we sign this other affidavit about continuance. Okay. All right, so I just want you to know, I'm gonna send a letter out, I'm gonna request clarification from the attorney regarding the type of reliefs we can actually vote on at the next meeting regarding this applicant. Okay? Okay. On new business, Ken brought up to me the question of when we look at an agenda, and it's let's say like tonight. First of all, you never know in a case. I've been more than once surprised at how much time we spent on a case. You know, like the last meeting on the 625 Route 28 and the 2 houses there, I was surprised at the amount of time we spent on that case. You never know. I thought it would be 20 minutes, we're done. We spent an hour on it, all right? And then sometimes the case where you think, this is gonna be a lot of work. We're done in 15 minutes. So you never know. But, Ken raised a point regarding when an agenda is full, like this one was originally, if we were going to hear tonight, Round Cove Resort, or, and also the 37 Pleasant Lake Ave, they might have eaten up a lot of time. And the thought was, can we arrange it or change the agenda so some of the smaller cases we just knock off? and take care
The
of
guy
it.
wants to finish the porch, because the thing about the guy who was here, after we talked about that 2 homes for more than an hour, this poor guy, all he wanted to do was fill in, rebuild a deck in the existing and we made him wait for 3 hours to do that. I just think that's wrong, and I think we can do a better job. That's my contention.
Yeah, now, I think, I know, I hear what you're saying. Currently, we've always gone in order typically as they've submitted their applications, and that's how it's been, the agenda's been set. We have more than once gone off the agenda, but that might have been, like, for instance, let's say that these cases that want to be continued were down towards the end, and the representative was here, the attorney was here requesting a continuance. You know, in that case, it's like, we know that's a 90-second deal to continue a case. So in that time, we've often have called that case, done the continuance, and then started back up at the first case that we're gonna hear. So like right off the bat here tonight, we did 3 cases that were either being dropped or continued. Had they been down further in the agenda, and we had representatives here, you know, the chair we can do it by vote of the board, or the chair, and I check the town clerk, can just say, I'm moving the agenda. So I can move it.
I disagree with that, Brian.
I check with the town clerk, and the chair can make a change in the agenda as he wants to. Typically, I would just forward out the board for approval.
Well, I think that makes more, because we're gonna approve it to start out with, but if you're gonna follow Robert's Rules of Order, the town clerk doesn't overrule Robert's Rules of Order.
The town adopts Robert's Rules of Order. According to the town clerk, it can be done by a vote of the board, or the chairman himself can designate. Last night, the planning board meeting, the chair designated to have one case heard first, because there was gonna be a continuance. And the chair just said, I'm gonna call this case up for a continuance, and he could do it without going for a vote. Okay? So, I mean, I appreciate your don't approve, but in typical, I'd be saying, anybody have a concern with this, it's a vote, and we'll do it, but if it's gonna be a quick action, the chair can, and I checked it out, can make a change. So the bottom line is, we don't have to go by the exact order that's listed. We can make a change when we feel, and a member of the board, at the beginning of an agenda, can say, I'd like to move the fact we hear this first. That'd be fine, and then we can all vote on it. Now, generally, when you've got attorneys here, they may come in and say, hey, listen, they may come up before the meeting starts, Bill Crow will come up and say, by the way, can I just knock this off and make a request? Because they've done that, and we've changed the agenda because the attorney has made a request. This is and typically it's been because of a continuance, not to hear a case. And if with Bill's situation where he's going to have 3 cases, and he's half the agenda, or, if he decided that he wants to do this one first because these people here wants to let him go, I think as a board, we would honor that, the request from the attorney. So anyways, the bottom line is, we can adjust the agenda if we feel it's appropriate at that time.
I think the counterpoint, because I, again, personally haven't gotten caught in, when things got behind last year, and the agendas ended up getting very long. I was advised that, they were gonna go in case number order, and there was a chance the meeting might be adjourned before they get to you.
Right.
So it was basically get your paperwork in, get it in on time, so that you can be on the front of the line. And, while I hear you saying, I think myself, having done that, I would have been kind of upset to have somebody say, well, even though you got all your paperwork in, fine, the guy that got it right below.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I
And I'm
think,
gonna be at the end of the agenda and I get bumped out, you're like, well, wait a minute, I went through the effort to get it in. So I think it's a tough
It sets a
call.
bad precedent in a
See,
sense.
in my viewpoint, if the attorney is representing more than one customer that night, or more than one case, and he wants to make a change, I'm okay with that, okay? Other than that, I think it's in case order based upon when they turn the case in.
Because the town did send out, again, formal correspondence. Again, a year ago, everything was backed up. But basically, the people that had cases got letters that said, you might not get heard tonight.
No, and I was part of sending those out. No,
And
I,
that's where, at that point, I'm like, well, then you better go in order, because I'm like number 4.
right, exactly. We got a long scenario. I know that I've instructed Alicia to say, send up a notice that we may not get to you.
Yeah.
All right, and give them the option of postponing to the following month and not showing up. All right? Or if they know that they're last, they don't have to be here at 7:01. You know, you wanna lounge in at 8 o'clock, you'll probably be fine. You know, but,
That's, I think, given that, that's the comment I would make, you know. I don't disagree with Ken, but I think if those instructions went out and you told somebody, hey, you know, we're probably gonna, it might go over, you don't have to be here at 8 o'clock, it's kind of unfair at 7 o'clock to change the order. You know?
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
okay, now, I'll give you one example.
Yeah.
If all of a sudden, we're in a situation where we're hearing a 40B, and there were 2 cases on that night, the 40B and the Swansons
Yeah.
on 2 Lovers Lane,
Right.
I'm probably gonna ask the attorney, by the way, do you mind if we hear this case
totally
first?
understandable.
Because, you know, this is gonna go on for 3 hours, all right? So those kind of situations, I would request the permission of the case being moved, if they wouldn't mind having this case heard first as a courtesy. But if they said no, it's, in my opinion, it's, at that point, it's no. I mean, unless it's, you know, I would advise, I would ask the case presenter, I'd ask Bill Kroll, hey, do you mind if we sneak this one in first? Because this is gonna be a long one, because, you know, he's got a big case, and there's a final one, you know, and he'd know the fact that, yeah, and more likely, he's representing them anyways. Okay? You know? So, I mean, I just wanna make, did we get your point discussed as you wanted to?
Well, we discussed it. I would totally disagree that you have to have the permission from an attorney for the board to make a decision to amend,
That'd be my, no, the board, by rules, the board can decide, we can flip it upside down and not give any consideration to any of the applicants. We can do that.
okay, I didn't hear that. what you
No,
just said
we
a
can
minute
do
ago.
that. I'm just not gonna ever find myself approving that. You know, I would never vote in favor of that, okay? Unless the applicant that we were bumping said, I'm okay with it.
I would agree with you to take, you know, 23-22 and you move them up, and 23-21 gets screwed because they get pushed down.
Yeah,
And that doesn't.
and then we don't make the
seems
time.
great for 22, but not 21.
Because the bottom line is, then all of a sudden, that guy,
It's point of the 40B, you know, where you got 2 people that want to
different
build
story.
their deck.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, I
it
think
is
before.
not the difference story. It's a discussion about the ability to amend the agenda.
yeah, but if it's a situation, we had a 40B and one other person,
Right.
little old guy, ahead of time, I would be requesting, before the meeting, I would send out a letter to the second person, the 40B, do you mind if we hear this case first? And apprise them, the board may want to do that, okay? You know, so, now, more than likely, a big case like that, it's gonna be on a special night anyways, but that's a side spot.
But I've also seen, you know, Attorney Kroll take, I think it was like a shack that was converted, and that went on for like an hour, where you thought it was just gonna be this small thing, but he was trying to set a precedent. You remember that case where, like, what was he was trying to redefine the definition of an ADU or something like that, I remember, but when I looked at it initially, I thought that was gonna be a 15-minute, and it turned into an hour, because he wanted.
That was,
He wanted to
that was at 137 Mile Street.
Yeah, but he wanted to educate us on his belief of how things should change. So so a 10, 15-minute one.
That took a lot longer.
Yeah. So there's those little intricacies as well.
You never know how long a case is gonna take.
Yeah.
You never know when a butter shows up and says, not in my neighborhood.
Right.
All right, so typically, you know, I think it's gonna be the exception, not the rule. It's gonna be a very exception that we change the agenda order,
I would agree.
okay? But we have the flexibility to do that if it's going to make sense, it's gonna be reasonable. And the people who are you know, in my opinion, who would be taken out of order, you know, are inclined to say, you know, I'm fine with that, okay? You know. Okay, so, hold on a second here, I had an agenda, and as we were talking, I turned around and I moved it. Apologize. what the guy's name, did I just do the, okay, here it is, okay. All right. Oh, by the way, approval of minutes, we don't have any from April nor from May yet. Okay? All right, and,
So, the clerk.
as I explained, you know, and since, as I mentioned before, in the past, I was doing the drafts for Alicia, but now that she is not going to be finalizing the minutes, you know, that it's, you know, I'm not doing drafts, I send it down to the town manager's office to go from there. I had a good working relationship with Alicia, and she'd take my notes, I'd do it, but I knew that she was going back over the whole recording, and she was checking everything, going through it. So, those hours I was spending doing minutes before, when she was all by herself without a building commissioner, you know, I'm not doing it now, all right? So, and I'm not supposed to be, it's best that I don't do it in the first place, because I'm the ones, we're at the meeting, someone else has got to record the minutes.
Is there any liability for the board?
Not having minutes done? Well, it's wrong recording, so it's, every once in a while, going on in the meeting, they can flip on the,
I didn't know if there was a statutory requirement.
I don't believe so, right? But at this point, if you want to instruct the board wants to instruct me to do so, I will ask the town manager what's going on, and when we're gonna start getting minutes. So,
Not a bad idea. That's a
right,
good idea.
all in favor of that? Okay, so I'll find out what's happened in the minutes. But, that being the case, one of those meetings had to do with Atlantic Avenue. You know, when we had that, and that went on for a while. After I can apprise you of this, after the 20-day period for that meeting, the abutters sent in a complaint letter, you know, to the town manager and to every member of the board, of the selectmen's board, you know, complaining about how the Board of Appeals conducted themselves that night. Okay, regarding the approval of that, you know, that case. And, so, the town manager did get a hold of me, but he just flipped on the recording, because one complaint they said was, I recall, was that the meeting wasn't being properly recorded. Well, it was on tape, he turned on, there it was. There was also a complaint that we allowed the foundation to be in on the road, which we didn't. So, I mean, right away, so he went on it, he viewed the whole thing. He spoke to me about it, you know, said that you guys did your jobs just fine. And he's reporting back to the selectmen that everything is, you know, they did their jobs, and these people should have complained before the 20-day period was over. They could have appealed the case, which they didn't. All they had to do was send an appeal and that the case would have been held up. Okay. And I had comments regarding, you certainly were, you drove a hard case, or hard, you know, questions to the applicant regarding what are you thinking of this back wall, how are you gonna maintain it? So we stressed that point, and we covered our bases very well that night, and I was told so. But again, here's a case that lasted a long time, and sometimes on the surface, you don't know these things are gonna take a long time. Okay. Let's see. I told you last week, the last meeting, I was going to start working on just gathering information regarding private roads. I continue to do that. Town of Orleans actually enacted a general law regarding the same type of thing that we were talking about on how private roads need to be maintained. So I pulled up that information and so forth. Unfortunately, the person I was working with on this, the planning board director, Paul Halakosis, has resigned.
Oh, what?
Wow.
So we no longer have a planning board director.
When did that happen?
Monday.
What's going on?
I really don't, I mean, no one's maybe purview. According to my understanding was he actually has a number of years of service as a working in municipalities, and he actually turned in his retirement papers. But I believe that basically he just, I really don't go any further than that. He's resigned and retired, so he's left the town, and I believe it just, for whatever reason, working relationships, et cetera, he's no longer with us. I considered Paul a great asset to the town. Okay, and I had a wonderful working relationship with him. When I had questions, you know, because he knows the planning side very well, and he knew the zoning side extremely well as well. And sometimes it, actually, we helped each other, because I do some research and so forth, but I could count on him as a resource to direct me to a certain area, as well as I count on very much Jack Mee, the building commissioner, who does it. And the two of them were working extremely well together, because there's very little happens on construction in this town that doesn't involve both the planning board, you know, and the planning director and the zoning and the building commissioner. And so they had a wonderful relationship as well. But anyway, he's no longer with us, so he was my point person regarding on the planning side, so I don't know where I'm gonna go with that going forward, but he's no longer with the town. And I have no idea what the town's plans are for him to change. And I'm sure they'll, you know, I'm sure Joe will do a good job on finding, Joe found a good person in Paul, and I'm confident he'll find another good person to replace him. Okay, that is all the business I have. There are no other correspondence that I'm aware of. Does anybody have anything that they want to bring up to the board for discussion tonight?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I will entertain a motion to close the meeting.
Moved.
Okay. Okay, well, Ken second. Okay. All those in favor of closing tonight's hearing? All those in favor? Fine. Meeting is closed at 9:18.